My name is Samuel Ibrahim, and I am the founder of the Promised Land Mastermind YouTube channel. Welcome, and thank you for tuning in to this wonderful channel. And if you are a subscriber, you've listened to a lot of the messages, and a lot of the messages that I deliver uh, really talk about the subconscious mind and using your subconscious mind as an asset. Also, there are some spiritual teachings that really lean into men of and discuss men of great faith, like Noah, like Abraham, who had great faith and they were set apart to do wonderful things, and explaining the mindset and the consciousness of a person who had great faith. And so, and also, I also have affirmation music on the channel, and that's a little bit of an experiment, like a science experiment, right? Like a long running science experiment. I don't really listen to a lot of music, and so I started creating affirmation music for myself, just so I could have music again to listen to, because I'm so immersed into subconscious programming and affirmations as a part of the work that I perform. Um, and I think you'll like it. It's not professionally produced, so don't critique me as if I'm someone that's in a studio. That's something that I do on my laptop most of the time. I'm outside. The wind might be blowing at some of it, but the words have an effect. Okay, the belief of the affirmation music is that if you listen to those words over and over and over again, and you speak those words over yourself, you connect to a point in time. You emotionally connect to the words, which allows you to create a good image of what you think those words are able to manifest for you in your life. And whereas music in general now, it's really speaking from, you kind of see the world from somebody else's perspective, at least the type of music that I used to listen to. I wanted to be able to see the world from my perspective and see a really good outcome for the things I want to see in life. So that's affirmation music. Okay, I'm just kind of giving an overview of the channel, a little bit about what the channel is designed for. Uh, One of the things that I really love to do is I like to explore consciousness. Okay, what you are conscious of, your life out pictures. Okay, who you are conscious of being, your life out pictures that for you. Okay, I'm very conscious of who I am. I'm very conscious that my name is Samuel Ibrahim. I'm very conscious that I'm a descendant of a former slave in America. I'm very conscious of the things that have happened in my life, and subsequently, my life has outpictured it, what, according to what my dominant thoughts have been in my life, and that's what consciousness is. Um, so, in today's, I'm gonna do my best to make this brief, but I think this is a good thing to explore because also in consciousness, there are just some things that I've understood or come to understand along my journey, and I'll just give you a little bit of a background about that so you can understand why I think the way that I do and how I've arrived at the conclusions that I've arrived with. So I was raised in the church. I love going to church. I used to actually really young in church, and I used to get up in front of the entire church, and I was not afraid to pray. Like I would pray, and people used to say that I was like a baby deacon, and people thought that I would be a preacher, which I ultimately ended up becoming. And subsequently, I did step away from the church. I sat myself down in 2015 because I wasn't seeing the gospel out picture in the way that I was expecting to see it in my life. I was not seeing the very spiritual beliefs that I held very near and dear to my heart out picture in my life. And I couldn't understand why. And it was a great source of frustration for me. So much so that I left the church. So much so that I stopped preaching because I wanted to make sure that I was able to deliver a message that I believed. There's a great responsibility for any man that stands in the pulpit, man or woman that stands in the pulpit. And and I wanted to make sure that if I was going to be delivering a message on God's behalf, that I had to believe the message wholeheartedly. Like I really had to be a part of my constitutional makeup as a person, and I wasn't able to do that. So I stepped away from the church in 2015, and then I went through a period of what people who have gone through a spiritual awakening, they call it deconstruction. Okay, and deconstruction is when your long-held spiritual beliefs, cultural beliefs, traditional beliefs are basically broken down because you realize, I guess, within your own life that they no longer serve you. Okay, and so there was a great crisis, spiritual crisis that I was going through, and so for a little more than 4 years, I was not in complete relationship with the Creator because I was not seeing the things that I held near and dear, the things that I was raised upon, you know, really manifesting and bursting through in my life in the way that I was expecting, in the way that the Word is preached, and then even in the way that I was preaching the Word. So, which leads me to this. So as I have reestablished my relationship with the Creator, I went through a spiritual awakening. Started my spiritual awakening in 2019, and it has just been a spiritual evolution over the past 4 years, uh, and it just grows more and more every day to who I am as a person. Because when I was not in a relationship with God, there was such a huge void. Oh my God, there was a void that just could not be satisfied, and I was angry with the Creator, angry with myself because I could not reconcile that void. No matter what I did, no what I tried to fill it with, that relationship being disconnected caused me great internal strife. Just could not. I couldn't find anything that would fill. Could not find anything that would fill that emptiness that I had. And so, as I've gone through this awakening, God has overfilled. He has overfilled that void, and now it just permeates through my entire being, to where I just feel like I'm consumed with the things of the Creator, and everything that I do that is basically a reflection of who I am. That is what I'm conscious of. I'm very conscious of um, having this very close relationship with the Creator, a very unique relationship with the Creator. And so that is that actually it's all within and through all the work that I do. All right, so today's topic. I just wanted to give that intro. So today's topic. Um, Over the course of my experience, I remember I was sitting in meditation one day, and thinking about the Gospels and thinking about Christ, and trying to understand uh, uh, more about salvation. Um, And very plainly, the Creator said to me, if you see yourself as Him, then Christ's words will make sense to you. His life will make sense to you. His ability to do will make sense to you. His power will make sense to you. And so that was in 2020 when I had that conversation with the Creator. So, the fall of 2020. So for 2.5 years, I've really been meditating on that topic. What does it mean to walk and think as Christ? What does it mean to walk in with the mindset of Christ? Okay, and the world just celebrated Easter, and so Christ is on everybody's mind, or a lot of people's minds, across the globe right now, because you just got your Resurrection Sunday message. And over the course of my awakening, okay, over the course of my journey, this is what I've learned, because the Creator knew that I had my mind made up that I was not going to worship another man. I wasn't going to do that. Creator knew I had my mind made up that I would not worship another man. And even Jesus himself never wanted to be worshipped. It was never intended for him to be worshipped as God. It was never an intention. It's never something that Jesus says should be done. And so, and also subsequently, that had not worked for me. And I wasn't going to go back to doing something that did not work for me spiritually. I was not going to worship another man in that way. My worship is of the Creator. Okay, and I believe He gave me those words to help me understand why Christ's life was important for me to see, study, understand, and understand what it was like to walk with His mindset. So Um, the way that the Creator has dropped this message within my spirit, so I'm able to walk with my soul at rest, with my soul at peace, in my soul not in conflict. Okay, with my soul not in conflict of what it means to be in fellowship with Christ is to not also to not only see Christ as a man, because that's how he's preached. He's preached as a man who walked the earth, which he did. But to understand how to walk with the full power of Christ, think of Christ as a consciousness. Okay, think of Christ as a consciousness, a mindset. But consciousness is better than mindset. Okay, consciousness, because a consciousness makes up all of who you are. It makes up your experience. And as you are conscious of something, creation responds to you as you are. As you are conscious, creation responds to you as you are conscious of something. Your life is a reflection of that consciousness. So, seeing Christ as a consciousness, I understand the gospel so much better. I understand the life of the disciples so much better. I understand the life of the Apostle Paul so much better. And so, in today's message, and not just talking about consciousness, I want to tell you something that happens when you're on your journey to assuming the Christ consciousness. And ultimately, my very strong belief is that all souls are desiring to walk in that way. It's been expressed many different ways. Okay, enlightenment. You know, that's really the basic way that it's expressed is enlightenment. Okay, um, but understanding what it's like to walk with the consciousness of Christ. And here's what happens once that consciousness wakes up in you. And this is why I was able to start understanding the Gospels with a different frame of mind. Because I wasn't trying to follow a man, I was trying to follow my Christ consciousness. I won't say try, I followed my Christ consciousness. Okay. I followed my Christ consciousness. I didn't follow Christ the man. I followed my Christ consciousness. And my Christ consciousness is unique to me. There are billions of people on the planet. And as a result, each person has a divine expression. Each person is able to become a divine expression of the Creator. Each person is a divine expression of the Creator. Let me say that right. But each person is able to walk more and more within their Christ consciousness to where that power bursts forth through them because it is at work within them. Okay, does that make sense? That power, the Christ consciousness has a power that is associated with it that when it's working within you, it will burst forth out of you. Okay, it will burst forth out of you because it is at work within you. Does that make sense? I believe it does. Okay, and so this is one thing. Oof, this is one thing that I really learned, and and it was difficult. It's difficult for me to actually walk out this part of the journey. Jesus says there was a man that came to him, and he said he wanted to follow him. It's a wealthy man, wealthy man, and he said that he had followed the law since he had never broken the laws of Moses, and he wanted to follow Christ. And Jesus said, "Well, come on with me." He said, "But I have to go and bury my father." And Jesus told that man, let the dead bury the dead, and it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to get into heaven. And I'm telling you, I used to struggle with that scripture for a long, long time because I thought it was harsh, right? I thought it was mean because I couldn't get it, right? Jesus said, if you want to come and, you really want to follow me, you need to leave right now. This is your moment. This is it. This is your moment right now. And the man said, well, I can't take advantage of this moment right now because I got to go bury my father. That would have been the thing to do according to the laws of Moses. Honor your mother and your father so that you may live long days on this earth. So that man wanted to follow the laws of Moses and do what was right by Jewish culture. But Jesus said, no, if you want to follow me, you need to leave this moment, right now. You need to come with me right now, right now, right now. And so, the man walked away sad because he couldn't go bury his father. I mean, he couldn't follow. He wanted to go bury his father, which is completely understandable, right? It's completely understandable. Now, I just gave you that in terms of following a man, right? You know, who of you today, uh, uh, would do that, right? To know if you there's a man telling you, come follow me right now. If you want to be one of my followers and learn all this great, wonderful work that I'm doing and be able to understand how to have this power, or you can go bury your father, who you might have had a great relationship with, right? Who he might have wanted to just pay his respects to, who he had probably not even had a proper opportunity to say goodbye to, right? Who of you would do that right now for another man? Who of you would do that right now for another man? Who? Who? Be honest with yourself. Who? Who of you would do that right now for another man? Listen, I was raised in the church. I see how close family ties are to people. I see how close family ties are to people. Who would not go bury their father, mother, child, friend, whoever it would be, if a man said, no, if you want this power, you got to follow me right now? Who would do it? And be honest with yourself. This is where understanding that Christ is also a consciousness is important for your walk, to understand how to really have that Christ consciousness at work within you so it can burst forth out of you. If you see it as a consciousness, and your consciousness tells you, your Christ consciousness tells you, in order for this power to burst forth, that you have to leave. Don't just think of it as burying your father. You just have to leave a lot of things behind. Basically, you have to leave your whole other life behind in order for that consciousness to burst forth. And I'll tell you why. It's so easy to understand why this is necessary. Necessary is the word, okay? It's necessary for you to leave all those old things behind in order for that Christ consciousness to burst forth. I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to relate back to Jesus' life. Uh, Jesus was raised in Nazareth. And if you're Christian, you understand that when he told people that, they were like, Nazareth? What good thing could come from that place? Nazareth. What good thing could come out of Nazareth? And when he went home, Jesus, when he went home to Nazareth, when he went home to the people who knew him, he was unable to perform many miracles. Why? Because they knew him. They knew how he grew up. They knew what Jesus was like before everybody else knew him as Jesus. So they knew all of Jesus's stuff. Okay, whatever that stuff might have been. Who knows, right? I'm not saying that Jesus had, like drama and stuff, but they just saw him wake up. So they saw him as a carpenter's son that, lived a very modest life. Okay. And um they did not believe the things that he was teaching and the miracles that he was able to perform. They did not believe them possible, right? So now, this is why when you want to follow the Christ consciousness that is able to burst forth out of you, okay, that wants to get at work within you and wants to burst forth out of you, the reason why you have to leave things behind is because if you are tied into family relationships, love relationships, friend relationships, professional relationships, any type of association that has any doubt about what your Christ consciousness is able to do, it distorts and diminishes your ability to perform the miracles that you are able to perform. It distorts and diminishes the ability of the miracles your Christ consciousness is able to perform. Okay, was that clear? I'll give you another scriptural example of this because I just talked about the life. Hey, listen, any dreamer knows this, right? You look at any famous person, they'll tell you, hey, I had to not believe other people, right? I had to not listen to other people and believe in what I was able to do. So I was able to become this great famous person, do this great famous work. Okay, you see a lot of people who have achieved great things in life, people that have achieved great fame, people that have done marvelous work. One thing that they'll all likely tell you is, I had to believe in myself despite everybody else, and I had to stop associating with certain people because They did not believe in me, and I could not connect myself or associate myself with people who had disbelief in what I was able to do. Why? Because it would have diminished my ability. It would have caused them to doubt themselves. Okay. And so when your Christ consciousness is ready to burst forth, you can't be around people that doubt you. Why? Because it diminishes and distorts the ability for the Christ consciousness to burst out of you. Okay. For your work to manifest in the way that you know and your Christ consciousness knows it is able to manifest. I'll give you one more example of how this worked. And this is, this is another one of Jesus's miracles. Uh, I feel like it's in the gospel a couple of times, but I want to say it's in Mark, maybe Mark chapter 5. And Jesus was called to a house, and there was a little girl who was dead, and she was laying in the bed in the upper room of the house. Jesus was up there with the parents, and he was up there with some of his disciples, and other people were there in the house, right? And the parents called Jesus to the house, and Jesus said, she's not dead, and she's just asleep. And the people were ridiculing Jesus. And mind you, he had already performed many miracles. That's why he was invited to the house, because he had already performed miracles. And the parents believed that Jesus was able to save their daughter, okay, to resurrect their daughter. They believed him capable. The parents had faith that Jesus was able to perform their work. That's why they invited him to the house. Jesus showed up to the house, even with his disciples. Some of his own people were doubting what he was able to do. So this is what Jesus had to do as to not diminish his ability to perform the work. He put many of the people that were in the room out of the room. Okay. He had to put them out of the room. He had to kick them out of the room. Why did he have to kick them out of the room? Because they didn't have the faith that the child would wake up. And once they left the room, he simply told her, Talitha wake up, Talitha Kumi, which basically means maiden arise, young maiden arise. And she woke up, okay? She got up, right? Uh, uh, so why am I telling you this? Why am I saying that? Jesus, the man, performed that work. You are able to perform just the same. Just imagine that the little girl is your dream. Just imagine that the little girl is who you are most able to be, okay? And the parents of that dream, which is basically you, some version of yourself, have invited the Christ consciousness to resurrect the dream. Okay, the dream, the I won't even say the dream. Your full potential is laying in the bed, dead or asleep. Okay, dead or asleep, right? Uh, and you have invited the Christ consciousness to awaken your full maximum potential. But in order for that potential to wake up, the thing that you have to do is put everybody out of the room that does not believe in your potential. Why? Because their faith, their lack of faith, would have diminished the ability for your miracle to take place. And this is another wonderful thing about this: the agreement that was necessary for her to wake up. Everyone that was in the room with Jesus when he performed the miracle believed that the child was capable of waking up. Okay. Same thing. Power of agreement is so powerful, right? Where two or more are gathered together, the creator is also there. So when your Christ consciousness wants to wake up, you got to leave some things behind. And the first person that you have to come into agreement with is yourself. Have agreement with yourself. Have agreement with your soul. Have agreement with the Christ consciousness within you to perform the miracles that you are able to perform. Okay, so I'm going to dive more into that topic. I feel like this is kind of an intro, and I may lean into more topics like this and explore this more because I love to talk about consciousness. I love to talk about it. I love to explore it. Every day I wake up and I say, where is my consciousness deficient of who I most believe myself capable of being? Because I know what I'm capable of doing. I know what I'm capable of doing. I'm in complete, full agreement of that. Okay, there's no doubt in my mind. Excuse me. And what I had to do in my life was walk away from everything and everyone who did not believe. in what I was able to do as this consciousness began doing its work within me, doing its work within me, and began bursting forth out of me. And I saw the drama of the Gospels basically play out in my life. Okay, I've seen the drama of the Gospels play out in my life as I've done my best, done my best to walk my life just as the Gospels say that you should. And I wanted to journey to find out what was the kingdom of heaven for me meant to be. Okay, what was the kingdom of heaven for me meant to be? So I had to go through the eye of the needle all by myself and leave everything behind and come into complete agreement with my soul that it was possible. The Creator already knew it was possible. That's why He told me, see yourself as Christ and you'll understand His words. Okay, and I wrote that down in one of my books that I wrote. My very first book actually was released in 2020, fall of 2020. That came to me in meditation. This thought came to me in meditation. It has stuck with me for all of this time. So going on 3 years now, I've really been walking this out very sincerely. And in order to go through the eye of the needle, I had to go. In order to get to my kingdom of heaven, I had to go through the eye of the needle alone, and I had to come into complete agreement with my Christ consciousness and allow it to do its work within me so it can burst forth out of me. And it has done that. Okay, and it has done that. What I had to do along the way, because I would try to tell everybody, "Ooh, man, this is possible in life." Man, I tried to tell everybody, this is possible in life. You are able to do these wonderful things. And I wasn't saying it like, all Jesus-y. Okay, I really wasn't. I wasn't saying it was all Jesus-y. I was just saying you're capable of doing all these wonderful things. You're capable of having all this wonderful power. And I was excited about it at the time. And I would tell people, and because they didn't believe it possible, I believed it possible. They didn't believe it possible. They were unable to see it manifest as fully as it was able to manifest within their life and within their circumstances or whatever. But within my life, I saw it working very easily. I saw it working very plainly. So I'm going to recap because I've said a lot here. So I've said a lot. So uh, the gospel still has all of the power that's in the gospel. The miracle working power of the gospel is still the same, has not changed. Those words are still as powerful as when they were first recorded. Okay. And if you want to see them manifest more in your life, and I'm speaking to people that have gone through their period of deconstruction, they're spiritually waking up, and even for the followers of Christ right now, people that even call themselves Christian, to fully manifest the miracle working power of the gospel. The thing that you also have to do besides seeing Christ as a man is seeing Christ as a consciousness that you are able to assume, not the man. There is a consciousness that you are able to assume to where that same miracle working power is able to go to work within you and burst forth out of you. Okay. And when you do that and you walk out the very clear principles of the gospel, and in many cases, anyone who has taken that journey had to go alone. Look at the disciples. All the disciples left immediately. Like, listen, Jesus came walking through wherever they were, and he said, come with me, I'll make you fishers of men. They dropped everything. Peter was married. He had a whole wife. He had a wife. And, I'm sure he said his goodbye at some point in time, right? But he left right away. And didn't consult with his wife when he left. He just bounced, right? Same thing with the Apostle Paul. He was on his way to do something. He had family relationships. He had his road to Damascus experience. God knocked him off his donkey. He left right away. It doesn't show in the Bible anywhere where he even said goodbye. He just left. Okay? He just bounced, right? And so when that consciousness wakes up within you, I mean, it's 2023. We have families, we have jobs, we have responsibilities, etc. Okay? But when that consciousness wakes up within you, and for it to manifest in the way that it is most capable, there are some things that you must leave behind. And then the consciousness begins to manifest within you more and more. And here's the reason why that happens. You don't have the worries of life and the distractions of life, the disbelief of others contaminating the good work that is happening within you. That's why Paul tells Timothy, let the good work that began within you be completed. I just kind of, you know, rephrase that a little bit, but you get what I'm saying. Let the good work that started within you complete. That's what Paul told Timothy, and you have to let that good work complete. And sometimes you have to do that work in a very lonely place because that consciousness within you, if you want it to burst forth with the maximum power that it has, you have to be by yourself until nobody else's doubt is able to contaminate your faith in yourself and that consciousness that is working within you. And then once you go out and you start pouring your work out into the world, it's going to do its own work. And because you have some very specific work that you are here to do, some very specific, divine, wonderful thing that you are here to do, because every man has the ability to walk like this. Every man does. Every man subconsciously wants to. Every man's soul desires ascension to be one and closer to the Creator. And as you let that consciousness manifest more within you, it bursts forth out of you. But you have to do it. You have to go through that eye of the needle alone in order for that consciousness to wake up and for you to fully possess what you are capable of doing. And you can see it done. You can see the same principle done with folks who have not uh, I won't say they did not pursue their Christ consciousness, they just pursued their greatness, right? Look at any person who's done any great thing. They have started their journey. They started their journey all by themselves. They believed in themselves when nobody else did. And then all of a sudden, you woke up and you see them, wow, they just burst on the scene, but you have no idea how many years of, I just believe in me and what I'm doing that was going on within them, and you just see the final product, and you've seen the growth of whatever that final product was, but you didn't see the journey to becoming that person. And the journey to becoming that person, each person walked through the eye of the needle by themselves. Okay, they walked through the eye of the needle by themselves. They had to let a lot of old things go. They let the dead bury the dead. That old life they had to let go. That old life they had to let go, and then that consciousness of their greatness began to overtake them because that is all they were consumed with. And all I've been consumed with for the past 2 years is my greatness and how my consciousness, my Christ consciousness, is tied to that greatness. So, thank you for listening. More on this topic are to come. Subscribe to the channel, and if you watched all the way to the end, thank you. Okay, thank you. I believe your soul is blessed definitely for listening, and know that I'm new to YouTube. This channel's barely a month old. I am still learning the ways of YouTube, and my videos are getting better. But go back and listen to the other ones. I talked to a private group of people, a private group of folks, and we are all in agreement with not just our Christ consciousness rising up, just getting the life that we want. Okay, I'm on this very unique journey of walking more and more. And what does it mean for me to have this consciousness? And I want to maximize the potential of this consciousness, and I'm going to live a long life to be able to do this. I have a long time for this consciousness to manifest more and more and more and more and more and more within my life. And as it is at work within me, it bursts forth out of me. And so a lot of the videos that I have listed right now that are not music, because the music is very recent, but a lot of those messages were delivered last year and earlier this year. And so this is, whenever you see me on camera, that's really new content. Okay, but anything that is recorded, it just has the Promised Land logo, that's old content. And I'm releasing that more for public consumption. So if you hear me talking to other folks, that's just because I'm talking to like a private group of folks. But the message still applies to anybody. We're talking about affirmations. We're talking about consciousness. We're talking about creating our reality. And for me, the reality that I've created is one to where I want this consciousness to grow within me. And I had to let it really become completely who I am. So nobody's disbelief or doubt would hamper or diminish my ability to allow it to burst forth and affect the work that I was doing. And every man wants that, regardless of what it is. Every man wants to be able to do great work. Otherwise, your soul is not going to be at peace because you'll always be thinking there was just more I could have done with my life. There was just more that I could have done, period. Okay, there's just a way, there's something about my soul that is not satisfied. And that satisfaction, once you understand what consciousness you need to assume for that satisfaction to be complete, assume that consciousness, assume it, and do all that you're able to do. Do all that you are able to do to allow it to complete its good work within you, because you want it to complete the good work. You want it to complete the good work, because once you see the good work, you fall in love with the good work, and you just want to do more of the good work. All right, my friends, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for tuning in. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful evening. Goodbye.